Moody Margaret's School. Chapter 1. Pay attention, Susan, shrieked Moody Margaret, or you'll go straight to the head. I am paying attention, said Sour Susan. This is boring, said Horrid Henry. I want to play pirates. Silence, said Moody Margaret, whacking her ruler on the table. I want to be the teacher, said Susan. No, said Margaret. I'll be the teacher, said Horrid Henry. He'd send the class straight out for playtime and tell them to run for their lives. Are you out of your mind? Snapped Margaret. Can I be the teacher? Asked Perfect Peter. No, shouted Margaret, Susan, and Henry. Why can't I be the head? Said Susan sourly. Because, said Margaret. 'Cause why? Said Susan. 'Cause I'm the head. But you're the head and the teacher, said Susan. It's not fair. It is too fair, 'cause you'd make a terrible head, said Margaret. Wouldn't. Would. I think we should take turns being head, said Susan. That, said Margaret, is the dumbest idea I ever heard. Do you think Miss Oddball taking turns being head? I don't think so. Margaret's class grumbled mutinously on the carpet inside the secret club tent. Class, I will now take the register, intoned Margaret. Susan, here, Peter, here, Henry, in the toilet. Margaret scowled. We will try that again. Henry, flash away. Last chance, said Margaret severely. Henry, dead. Margaret made a big cross in her register. I will deal with you later. No one made you the big boss, muttered Lord Henry. It is my house, and we will play what I want, said Moody Margaret, and I want to play school. Lord Henry scowled. Whenever Margaret came to his house, she was the guest, and he had to play what she wasn't. But whenever Henry went to her house, Margaret was the boss because it was her house. Why did he have to live next door to Moody Margaret? Chapter 3. Mom had an important work to do and needed total peace and quiet. So Henry and Peter abandoned them and Margaret. Henry had begged to go to Ralph's, but Ralph was visiting his grandparents. Wasn't it bad enough being without Miss Battleaxe all week without having to spend this whole precious Saturday stuck at Margaret's? And even worse, playing school? Come on, let's play pirates, said Henry. I'm Captain Hook. Peter, walk the plank. No, said Margaret. I don't want to. But I'm the guest, protested Henry. So, said Margaret, this is my house and we play by my rules. Yeah, Henry, said Sour Susan. And I love playing school, said Perfect Peter. It's such fun doing sums. Grr, if only Henry would just go home. I want to get a good report, Mom has said, or you won't be going to Dave's bowling party tonight. It's very kind of Margaret and Mom to have you boys over to play. But I don't want to go to Margaret's, howled Henry. I want to stay home and watch TV. N-O spells no, said Mom, and sent him kicking and screaming next door. You can come home at 5 o'clock to get ready for Dave's party, and not a minute before. Lord Henry gazed longingly over the wall. His house looked so inviting. There was his bedroom window twinkling at him, and his lonesome telly, stuck all by itself in the sitting room, just begging him to come over and switch it on, and all his wonderful toys just waiting to be played with. Funny, thought Lord Henry. His toys seemed so boring when he was in his room, but now that he was trapped at Margaret's, there was so much he longed to do at home. Wait, he could hide out in a sport until 5, yes. Then he strolled into his house as if he'd been at Margaret's all day. Then Margaret's mum would be sure to call his mum to say that Henry was banished, and Henry would get into trouble. Big trouble. Big message from Dave's party trouble. Or he'd pretend to be sick. Margaret's mum was such an old fussbutt. She'd be sure to send him home immediately. Yippee! He was a genius. This would be easy. A few loud coughs, a few dramatic clutches at his stomach, a dash to the loo, and he'd stand straight home and, oops, he would put to bed. No party, no pizza, no bowling. And what was the point of pretending to be sick at the weekend? He was trapped. Moody Margaret racked her ruler on the table. I want everyone to write a story, said Margaret. Write a story? Boy, would Lord Henry write a story. He seized a piece of paper and a pencil and scribbled away. Who'd like to read their story to the class? Said Margaret. I will, said Henry. Once upon a time, there was a moody old grouch named Margaret. Margaret had been born a frog, but an ugly wizard cursed the frog and turned it to Margaret. That's enough, Henry, snapped Margaret. Henry ignored her. Ribbit, said Margaret's mom. Ribbit, everyone in the kingdom tried to get rid of this horrible, croaking, moody monster, but she smelled so awful that no one could get near her. And then one day, a hero named Heroic Henry came, and he held his nose, grabbed the Margaret monster, and hurled her into outer space, where she exploded and was never seen again. The end. Susan giggled. Margaret glared. Failed, said Margaret. Why? Said Lord Henry innocently. 'Cause, said Margaret, I'm the teacher and I say it was boring. Did you think my story was boring, Peter? Demanded Henry. Peter looked nervous. Did you? Said Margaret. Well, I think mine is better, said Peter. Once upon a time, there was a tea towel named Terry. He was a very sad tea towel because he didn't have any dishes to dry. One day, he found a lot of wet dishes. Swish, swish, swish. They were dry in no time. Yippee, said Terry the tea towel. I wonder when. Boring, shouted Lord Henry. Excellent, Peter, said Moody Margaret. Much better than Henry's. Susan read out a story about her cat. My cat, Kitty Cat, is a big fat cat. She says meow. One day Kitty Cat met a dog. Meow, said the kitty cat. Woof, woof, said the dog. Kitty Cat ran away. So did the dog. The end. Okay, class, here are your marks, said Margaret. Peter came first. Yay, said perfect Peter. What? My story was better than his. Susan came second. Henry came ninth. How can I be nice if there are only 3 people in the class? Demanded Lord Henry. Because that's how bad your story was, said Margaret. Now I've done some old worksheets for you. No talking or there'll be no break. Goody, said Protect Peter. I love worksheets. Are there lots of hard spelling words to learn? Lord Henry had enough. It was time to turn into Lord Henry sword, his horrible hag. Henry crumpled up his worksheet and stood up. I've just been pretending to be a student, shouted Henry. In fact, I'm a school inspector, and I'm shutting your school down. It's a disgrace. Margaret gasped. You're a moody old grouch and a terrible teacher, said the inspector. I am not, said Margaret. She is not, said Susan. Silence when the inspector is speaking. You're the worst teacher I've ever seen. Imagine Margaret a stupid story about a tea towel higher than a fantastic tale of a wicked wizard. I'm the head, said Margaret. You can't boss me around. I'm the inspector, said Henry. I can boss everyone around. Wrong, Henry, said Margaret, because I'm the chief of school, inspector, and I'm inspectoring you. Oh, no, you're not, said Henry. Oh, yes, I am, said Margaret. An inspector can be a head and a teacher, so there, said Henry. Oh, yes, I can, said Margaret. No, you can't, 'cause I'm king and I send you to the tower, shrieked King Henry and the horrible. I'm the empress, screamed Margaret. Go to jail. I'm king of the universe, and I send to the snake pit, shrieked Henry. I'm queen of the universe, and I'm going to chop off your head. Not if I chop off your first, shrieked the king, yanking under the queen's hair. The queen screamed and kicked the queen. The king screamed and kicked the queen. Mom! Screamed Margaret. Margaret's mom rushed into the secret club tent. What's wrong, my little snuggle chops? Said Margaret's mom. Henry's not playing my game, said Margaret, and he kicked me. She kicked me first, said Henry. If you children can play nicely, I'll have you sent all home. And Margaret's mother severely. No, said Peter. Send him home. Yes! Henry would make Margaret scream until the walls fell down. He would tell Margaret's mom her house smelled of poo. He would, but if Henry was sent home for being horrid, Mom and Dad would be furious. There would be no pizza and no bowling party for sure. Unless it was risky. It was dangerous. It could go horribly wrong. But desperate times call for desperate measures. Need a drink, said Henry, and ran out the tent before Margaret could stop him. Henry went into the kitchen to find Margaret's mom. I'm worried about Margaret. I think she's getting sick, said Henry. My little Maggie Muffin, gasped Margaret's mom. She's being very strange, said Henry sadly. She said she's the queen of the world and she would cut off my head. Margaret would never say such a thing, said her mom. She always plays beautiful. I never seen a child so good at sharing. Lord Henry nodded. I know. It must be 'cause she's sick. Maybe she caught something from Peter. Has Peter been here? Said Margaret's mom. She looked pale. Oh, yeah, lied Henry. He's been throwing up and, well, it's been awful, but I'm not sure he's not very contagious. Throwing up, said Margaret's mom weakly. And diarrhea, said Henry. Loads and loads. Margaret's mother looked Asian. Diarrhea? But he's much better now, said Henry. He only runs to the pool 5 times since we've been here. Margaret's mother looked faint. My little Margaret is so delicate. I can't risk, she gasped. I think you and Peter have to better go home straight away. Margaret! Margaret! Come in at once, she shouted. Lord Henry did not wait to be told twice. School was out. Ah, thought Lord Henry, happily reaching for the TV clicker. This was the life. Margaret had been sent to bed. He and Peter had been sent home. There was enough time to watch Marvin and the Magnetic and Terminator later before the day's party. I can't help it that Margaret wasn't feeling well, Mom, said Lord Henry. I just hope I haven't caught anything from her. Honestly, Mom was so selfish.